to read and write, all of those things that you've already mastered by puberty, the neural connections are actually disconnected. And you form new neural connections to then learn how to be a teenager and then a young adult. And then again, the same in pregnancy, because you're then moving into another stage. You need different skills, you need to change the way that you function as a mother, so you then gain all those skills. And then in perimenopause, you're no longer going to be reproducing, so you lose all of these neural connections. But then what happens is your brain upgrades to the next stage of life in menopause. So what happens with the symptoms that we experience, the brain fog and the forgetfulness and the confusion and the hot flushes, etc., the menopause brain, it may last for a few years. However, you do regain clarity afterwards as part of the natural transition. You regain clarity and your brain actually becomes much more efficient, you become much more clear. And I'd say you may even be functioning better after that, because you have less of the roles and responsibilities to think about too. You have more life freedom as well, and all of these other factors that come in too. Now, we know that so that's the pruning side. The other side of it is the metabolic recalibration as well. I want to show you just a little visual. Yeah. So the brain on the right, this is the brain of a lady who's perimenopausal. So there's lots of red, which means that's the energy that's running through the brain. So there's a high amount of energy running through there. And then the brain on the left is the same brain 8 years later, once this lady has got through perimenopause into menopause. So you can see that there's approximately a 30% reduction in brain energy. So because of that, the brain needs to switch from using glucose predominantly as a fuel to using ketones as a fuel. Now that doesn't mean that we need to jump on a keto diet. There are other ways to support our brain in that transition. So this comes from the work of Dr. Lisa Musconi, who is a very well-known neuroscientist in the States and heads up the Alzheimer's research at Cornell University. So she's done a lot of work, particularly looking at women's brains, which really has brought to the forefront this process that's happening, and then how can we actually take care of ourselves physically in order to support ourselves through this transition.
Sorry, just a question. Has it got anything to do with pre-diabetes? Like
yes, well, it's part of insulin resistance. Yes, so when our estrogen starts to drop, but your estrogen is only one hormone, so your whole endocrine system actually gets affected. And estrogen and insulin work very closely together. So when estrogen starts to drop, the insulin is affected too.
That's what affects the metabolism to not be able to metabolize the sugar anymore.
Yes.
So you're saying that
so you can be more prone to pre-diabetes.
So when that happens, you're saying better off using fat or ketones as a fuel. It's more efficient. The brain will be able to utilise it.
What I'm saying is that changing your diet from eating highly processed foods and highly chemically loaded foods to changing it to eating real food, real whole foods, will support your brain metabolism much more. Now, for some people, depending on your body type, etc., then it may be that a higher fat diet will be better for you, and it may be that a higher vegetable diet will be better for you. So that's really all dependent on what your epigenetics are, which is something that I work with as well, with Precision Health, because it's not a one size fits all.
I was just curious to the link of how menopause affects it, and then how, because then you're saying, well, you should then burn ketones, but I was just wondering how the menopause affects it, but you answered that by saying that the estrogen and the insulin are related, so basically the neurons, the cells aren't going to be as effective as burning the sugar at that point.
Your ability to convert glucose
at that
fuel
point
for your brain
it gets diminished.
Yeah, it's diminished.
It's a good point.
Yeah. So you're more prone to insulin resistance because
your
pancreas keeps trying to get more insulin.
Just my knowledge, and that's the start when those cells die. That's when you get it's the sort of the gateway to dementia or brain fog, or that's when all that starts happening. Is when it can't utilise the sugar, and you haven't given it the ketones because you're not metabolically flexible, and then you have an issue.
Yeah. So it's about taking care of your brain health.
Yeah.
So regardless of
this is metabolic. This is all metabolic.
Yeah, absolutely. So what they found is that 2/3 of cases of Alzheimer's and dementia are actually women, and it starts in perimenopause. It's not the cause, however, it's the trigger for other underlying factors.
Yeah.
Come to the
It's
forefront.
a big part of the equation.
Yeah.
It's
So
interesting.
So if we pick that up early and we recognise it and we know how to take care of our brains through the transition, then we're supporting the transition for that to be an upgrade.
You could argue whether everyone now should to utilise ketones to be metabolically flexible, so you can use that secondary fuel source. So, you're saying, because if you don't, when you hit the menopause, that's going to amplify the issue.
Yeah.
So you want to start it as early as possible,
absolutely.
really.
Yeah. And we hear about menopause being something that happens in your 50s, right? We suddenly drop off a cliff when we're 50, and we're in menopause. But in actual fact, your hormones actually start changing predominantly when you're around 35, but even more so earlier. So when we're around 26 onwards, it's actually our testosterone levels that start to drop first. And testosterone is where we get our drive, we get our confidence, we get our sex drive, all of those things. So you can see that if that starts to drop off in your late 20s, that can then start to...
Is that more for men? That'd be more for men, testosterone, right?
No, women. Both. Yeah, we have a significant amount of testosterone as well. And we actually make estrogen from testosterone too. So it then will affect our estrogen levels as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So we hear a lot about estrogen, and it's all about estrogen, but like I said, it's your whole endocrine system. So when your sex hormones do start to change and diminish, all your other hormones kick in to try and support your body. So that's when, particularly your adrenal hormones, so that's like your cortisol, and adrenaline, and a few others. And so that's how you can then start to feel more anxiety and be more sensitive to stress and things like that. And like with the insulin, so there's that synergy as well, there's that relationship happening. So that then makes you more prone to diabetes, or insulin resistance, which can lead to diabetes. And then, so it's your endocrine system, basically. Yeah. So, all that said, how do we actually take care of ourselves? How do we actually take care of our brains? And the point is that the power is in your hands. It's what you choose to do on a daily basis. So it's lifestyle choices. So I talk about lifestyle integration with my clients, and many of them come to me and they feel powerless, they feel lost, they've been to the doctor said, you're just getting old, deal with it, there's nothing you can do about it, here's some antidepressants, whereas in actual fact, there's a lot we can do about it, and we are the magic pill. We are the magic pill. There are many things, and we want to start one place, and this is for everybody, this is not just for perimenopause women. You want to start one place, start with what you put in your mouth. So you can choose what you put in your mouth. And that's food, that's alcohol, that's smoking, vaping, whatever, medications, whatever. Just start there, you're in full control of that, absolutely. And that, even just shifting what you eat and what you drink, just making a few tweaks will make a profound difference. And then start looking at other factors like how you're moving your body. So when you're moving your body and you're exercising, you are stimulating the production of BDNF, brain neurotrophic.
Actor or something.
Yeah, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which actually helps you to create and make new brain cells, right? So just by moving your body, you're doing that, yeah? And then looking at other things like water, hydrating. Your brain is 80% water. There is a lot of talk out there about your brain being predominantly fat. It's about 11% fat, and eating a high-fat diet doesn't support that necessarily. So it's about 80% water, 11% fat, and what's left? 3%? No.
9%?
9%, around 9%, like vitamins and nutrients and all of that stuff. So it's predominantly water. So drink water, and not just any water, good, clean water that's filled with minerals and electrolytes, and is actually going to support you and hydrate you and stay in your cells. Other things that we look at and think about is stress reduction. Now, we hear a lot about reduce stress, which is fair enough. However, it's not about eliminating stress in your life, it's about how do you recover from it. Stress is actually a good thing because it gives you drive, it gives you motivation, it gives you movement, it moves you from one place to another. But you need to, it's only when it becomes chronic that it becomes a problem. So that's when you then store inflammation in your body, which then in turn makes everything a whole lot worse as well. So it's how do you recover from stress? And everybody is different. Some people like to socialise with friends. Some people, prefer to just spend some time on their own, or write, or be creative, or do something. So find what that is for you. For me, I love just getting out in nature and being by the sea and going for a walk, going on holidays somewhere. Getting out of the situation that has created the stress and getting to somewhere else where you can just breathe. Just breathe. And Nicolette's going to talk to you more about travel a little bit later. So, other things that we can do.
Should we take synthetic hormones?
Well, I would say don't take anything synthetic at all. HRT, for example, now is very different than it was previously. So from the Louise study that came out in 2011, the findings from that were actually based on a product that was synthetically made. The wrong cohort were included in the trials, and also it was
Run by a pharmaceutical company?
and run by a pharmaceutical company. Yes, exactly. So a lot of the findings are actually being debunked now. So HRT, whether you choose to take it or not, is only part of the mosaic that you're creating. So it can, if it's appropriate for you, help you along in your journey. But that's a decision, that's a choice for you. What's available now is what's called bioavailable or bioidentical HRT, but not bioavailable, but body identical or bioidentical in the States, body identical here, HRT, and it's actually extracted from yams, and the chemical compound of it is the closest to our own estrogen. So it's a much more natural product, it's much safer, and when used in the right ways, it can be extremely beneficial if that's what you choose to do. However, you do still choose how you're moving, hydrate yourself, do all of the other things as well. Like I said, there's no magic pill. You're the magic, right? So it's about finding what that balance and what that picture is for you. Like I said, it's only part of the mosaic, and that's what you're creating, right? For your midlife and for your next chapter. So it's up to you. You get to choose. And it's actually a point in time, like I said, it's an upgrade. It's a lifestyle upgrade. It's time to make a change. Menopause is not the issue. The issue is how you've been living your life for the last 30, 40 years. And like Nikki was saying, if we carry all of that baggage with us, and then eventually we get to 50, and our body puts its hand up and says, something needs to change, I need help, I can't keep going on like this. Because the estrogen that's been supporting and protecting us and helping us just to get by has said, I'm out there. You're on your own.
Yeah, wow.
Now we do still produce some estrogen. We produce estrogen called estrol, which is stored mostly in our adipose tissue, which is around our belly fat. So it is actually good to have a little bit of a nice menopausal belly. It's actually healthy. And so it doesn't, like, none of your hormones drop off completely. You just have lower levels, so your body adjusts to that. Yeah.
Amazing.
So if the lead up to 50 was a more conscious way of eating, a more conscious way of moving, sleeping, relationships, etc.,
Yeah.
then the process
Be a lot
of the
easier.
change would be a lot easier.
Yes.
Is this where you
Yeah.
speak to some ladies who are 65 or 70 and they go, I hardly noticed it, what are you talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you think, well, actually, it's cultural too. So I'm talking about, our Western society has this experience of perimenopause that is filled with chaos and
Fear.
and all those things. If you look at the Japanese culture, their word for menopause is kanenki, which means renewal. It's a time of renewal
Would you say
and
that's,
energy, renewed energy.
would you say that's the same for cancer? Like it's the same thing? Like if someone gets cancer in one culture, they go, it got me, opposed to someone who, started 30 years ago and said, I'm going to do work so that I don't get it. Is that sort of what
Yeah,
you're talking about?
absolutely. It's all the factors that come in of how you are living your life and the experiences you're having and what you're choosing for yourself too. And Nicolette's going to talk more about the energetics as well with quantum human design too. So talk a little bit more into that side of things as well. Did you have any questions? Or does anybody have?
I think we're good. We're just conscious of time, but I'm 50 next month, and I.
You need a magician for
I'm
your party?
so what's that?
You need a magician for your party?
I do actually. I'm super excited actually about this next phase, and I love that I happen to be born in a really good time where this information is coming out.
Yeah.
Because I know my mum suffered a lot and had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I don't buy into just because she went through it, I'm going to go through it, because my lifestyle's completely different. And so this idea of this brain upgrade, is this new information? Is this...
Because of the work of Dr. Louise Calvert, it's been brought very much more to the forefront because she's been following
all the
scanning
hackers
your
talking about
brains.
it.
Yeah, so it's the information is there now, and it's been being studied over the last 10 years or so, but the information is there now.
Amazing.
So it's becoming more commonly distributed.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Because we go to the doctor, and when they talk about women's health, they talk about bikini health. This is what's under your bikini, right? That's women's health. It's like, no, actually, we're a whole woman. We're a whole woman, and it is particularly your brain is your control center. It's your greatest asset for running and functioning your body. You need to take care of it, and when you take care of that, you take care of the rest of your body your gut, it's good for your brain, your heart, your hormones. So it's all connected. It's all very much connected.
Beautiful.
And
Good
it's
time to be alive.
Yeah. And it really is a time for us to reconnect back to who we are and what we want and who we want to become. So I'll leave you with that, actually. Just have a moment to think, who am I? What do I want? And who do I want to become in this next chapter?
Thank you. And so you can get in touch with Louise. And also I want you to think, we've got some flyers up here and I think we've got some discounts there as well. I really want to say this to you guys. You might have gone through this stage in your life. It might not apply to you. Maybe you're broke and whatever, it's not applicable. But think of other people. So if you've got somebody you know who might be struggling with their physical health or their hormonal health, get an expert. Get an expert that works outside of the system. Someone that's worked in the system and who's stepped outside for good reasons. And so Louise is our resident hormone expert. So tune in, because this is the community that we're in now, and I love this. We've got all these amazing people that are part of this game that we're all part called life. And we didn't get an instruction manual when we showed up. And we got the parents we got, and we got the either born on the right side of the tracks or we were on the wrong side of the tracks, and in the end we all end up in the same place, right? So in between we've got that wisdom now, we've got the information. Like humanity is just forging ahead because we have real, truthful information that is not manipulated to sell another product. It's literally coming to us so that we can make better decisions and live our best life. That's ultimately what we want, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah.